Hey, great day, everybody. So in this video, we will be mapping out a digital product launch. We're not talking about the typical 4 phases like launch it, beta test it, and all those things. We are really talking about launching a actual map. And so if you want to know what to do after you've clarified your idea for a digital product launch and you don't know what comes second, what comes fifth, what comes 10th, because yes, some digital product launches are a lot bigger and longer than others, this is the video for you. Hey, welcome back, y'all. So my name is Dr. TK, clinical psychologist and therapist business mentor. And we just wrapped up a digital product summer school for our clients, specifically for digital products for mainly therapists, mental health providers, social workers, and such. And so one of our members asked a question and I said, hey, that is a good question to answer on the podcast. And so I wanted to walk you through an example of a launch map in terms of what would go in order. So I'm going to give you a simple map for an ebook. Okay. Now I want you to keep in mind that if you launch a course, if you launch a coaching program, if your product is a hybrid, aka a course and access to you, if you launch a private podcast, all of these different types of things that you can launch has its own steps. A lot of the steps will overlap, but in terms of the order, they will change based on what you're launching and then also how you want to show up for your launch. And so before I get into that, I would need to share with you the 4 main steps of a launch, but I'm just going to give you an overview. If you want to hear about this more at a slower pace, then by all means, I'll link up all those videos below. So anytime you launch a digital product, you definitely want to clearly clarify your products, right? But step 1 is you want to tell people that something is coming. So that's when you bring awareness. Step 2 in launching is you actually tell people when to show up, where to show up, and all the things so that they can be prepared to buy. For the 3rd step, this is when you actually launch. You get butts and seats if you have a workshop, you get a coaching client, you have your interviews, you start onboarding people, and if it's a digital product, you sell the product, you put it on sale. Then in stage 4, this is where you debrief. You look at what worked, what did not work, you make small tweaks, and you do it again. That is the abbreviated version, the Cliff Notes version of the 4 phases or steps of a launch. Now, what would a launch look like for an ebook? Okay, so if you know about those 4 steps, then this would make more sense, which is why education is really key in terms of understanding how to launch a digital product. So let's just say I want to launch 60 digital product ideas for therapists, social workers, and healers, which is an actual guide that I have in the description below. So when I first created that product, I first surveyed my audience because they always are looking for ways to diversify their income beyond one-on-one services or just any products that involve them. So I asked them what they wanted, and what was more interesting was they didn't even know where to start, meaning they knew they wanted a digital product, but they really weren't sure what type of digital product they wanted. What I also started noticing was that everybody said ebook, but people didn't even know that there are different types of digital products to offer. So I said, what if I gave them a map or a list of 60 digital product ideas, and they will be broken up into maybe 4 to 5 different clusters, but I'm going to give them examples of digital products within those clusters. So for example, even within ebooks, there are different types of ebooks that you can offer based off your expertise. So I created that probably within 2 weeks of just like jotting down my ideas, organizing my thoughts. And then within 48 hours, I sat down and designed it. So after I got the idea, let's just say if we're drawing out a map. So I would have the idea that's in a box. I'm a visual person. So I would say, create the content for the book. Then the next phase, step 2, is going to be to find the template for the book, the design. And so that may be step 2 or 3, where you design and do graphics. Now you can go to Canva, you can go to Etsy, you can go to other websites that already have made templates for you. You just have to keep in mind that you cannot resell the template itself, but you can sell your ebook in the template, right? So you can't go off and say, I created this template for you, and now I'm going to help other people create digital products. You can't do that. So once you get past that stage, then it's more about bringing up awareness. And so in the next box, I would then say, okay, we're going to focus on marketing. Let's just say if I'm coaching you. So we would have to, and this is where it kind of goes, it can go different ways. We need to talk about how you want to show up. Do you want to do a live stream? Do you want to do a challenge? Do you want to do an email? We don't want to just drop it on people's doorstep in the middle of the night saying I have a digital product. And so I first will ask you, how do you want to show up? And we need to talk about your energy. We need to talk about your capacity. We also need to look at your systems. What do you already have access to? Because with digital products, I will prefer you to first use the systems that you already have, even if they are not maximized for scale. But we're not going to work on scaling, meaning working more, working less while earning more until you earn enough money, right? Meaning I'm not going to have you go out and buy a brand new email marketing system when you're not even using the email marketing system on your website called Wix and you have access to it, right? You just need to learn how to segment your list. So let's just say, for this example, you say, I already do email marketing. I have a website like Wix or Squarespace, and I can send an email through them, and they also give me ability to upload the ebook. Okay, cool. So I may ask more intricate details. So now that we know you want to use email marketing, I'm then going to ask you, what other ways would you like to market? Now you may say, oh, I'm going to market on social media, X, Y, and Z. So we're going to make a plan for all of that based on the value and what's inside your products, right? Now I'm giving you the overview because clearly what I've just given you are multiple other boxes. One box is email marketing. One box might be Instagram. One box might be TikTok because those audiences show up differently. If you have a podcast, that's going to be different. If you use YouTube, that's going to be different. So that may require us to talk about marketing for a whole coaching session, not just we meet for 30 to 40 minutes and I just help you map all this out with all the content inside of it. Like, we can map it out. But in terms of zeroing in on one area, this is why our clients go into a multi-session container for digital products. And so from there, after the marketing multiple boxes, now we're going to map out your actual launch. So of course, I'm then going to ask you, when do you want to launch it? You need to give me a date. Once you give me the date, you have permission to change it, but I don't want you to change it too many times out of fear. So the reason why you want to declare a launch date, which is called a beta launch is giving yourself permission to mess up. I don't call them mistakes. I call it learning lessons, because if you tweak it, you can just like re-offer your product over and over again with the updated version. So when you do the beta launch, you may say, I only want to focus on Instagram, TikTok, and my email list. Okay, cool. We're not going to do anything else because we need to track to see where your sales are coming from and how people are responding to your stuff. So now that we know your date is September 30th, right? And let's just say today is June 1st, okay? That means you have a little under 90 days. So with that in mind, I'm going to ask you to go plug that date in the calendar. And then I want you to look at your calendar like a blank slate. So like uncheck all the Google other calendars and say, if this is my launch date, now I need to go back and look at the 4 steps, the 4 phases of a launch, the brand awareness, the something is about to come out, the I need to put my product up for sale, the I need to debrief how the sales went. This is why those stages are so important, because now you need to go declare what are the time spans that you're going to do those specific activities and what are those activities. Again, that is a flush out, right? So declare the launch date and then reverse engineer the 4 phases. And that's when you'll realize I can actually launch sooner. Or you may need to give yourself another 2 weeks, because you may be saying you want to launch via email, but you haven't even built an email list. So how are you going to launch email? Some of my clients say, oh, I don't want to be on video. Okay, well, if you don't want to be on video and you don't want to do a voiceover, then that means you have to get really good with your messaging through your marketing to connect to your audience. And if you don't want to use email, I don't really know what to tell you. So we got to figure out, how do you want to show up? And you have to have dream big, but realistic expectations about what you've already done, which is why I always talk about list building. Give value to your community in exchange for their email address. Okay. So once you reverse engineer it and you get all your dates on the calendar, now it's time to have fun, because now it's time to do the work. And so you shouldn't stop after you map it out, maybe because it looks like it's a lot of things. But guess what? Any new thing is going to be a lot of new things because you have not done it yet. Okay. And so the reason, again, why I'm sharing this is because one of our clients had asked in our community, hey, what does a map look like when you launch a digital product? And I was like, ooh, that's a loaded question, because it really depends on what type of digital product you're offering, meaning is it a workshop, coaching, and all those other things? And then also, what systems do you have access to? What systems do you have the ability to access? And I will educate you on what's available, but do your own research. When do you want to launch it? Would you like help or would you like to do it on your own? Because one of the reasons why I choose to invest in coaching for now over a decade is because it shortcuts the process, because I don't have to also do all these things that my coaches did in which it did not serve their business. They're going to share with me those lessons so I can avoid them at all costs, but I still need to go out there and do the work, but they will help me expedite the process. So now that you have an overview of Cliff Notes, what are the 4 stages of a launch? And remember to check in the description box to see the other videos in terms of me just going a little bit slower explaining the phases, right? But it's an overview, okay? And now that you can see an example of an ebook launch map, I want to close it out with, once you get to the point where somebody buys the ebook, you do want to finish up the process called customer fulfillment. Customer fulfillment is you want to go through your sales process, test out your pages, and make sure that they get the PDF. Make sure that if it has clickable hyperlinks, that they can actually open up the PDF and click the links or click the videos, whatever you have in there, right? You also should be requesting feedback. So keep this in mind. If it is a 7-day ebook, it's a 7-day process, 7-day journal prompts, you should be sending emails, maybe 2 to 3, like a welcome email, a how is it going email. Don't overwhelm them with more information, more so motivational words to help them complete your digital product, because around the 7th or 8th week, you're going to then inquire, hey, how's the ebook going? How would you rate it on a scale of with 5 stars, 1 through 5? What would you tell someone if they also were faced with whatever the presenting problem was, into why they got your ebook in the first place? So you do want to follow up with them with tapping on their shoulder and saying, hey, I'm here. Let me know if you need assistance. This is where also in email marketing, you can let them know about additional services that you offer. So from time to time, depending on what season we're in our company, we may open up after somebody invests in something with us. We may say, hey, if you want to map this out with me or map this out in a workshop, then make sure you click this link, because sometimes those things do expire. Sometimes those things are for limited spots and or for a limited amount of time. You will see it at that rate. And so if you ever see that with my products, just know that that's sometimes the only place that you're going to see it. You may not see those things on social media outside of buying the product. What I'm describing to y'all is a funnel. Someone buys your ebook, they get an email, and then in the email, you can then what's called upsell them, offer them a higher value, but maybe get a better outcome, maybe at a more efficient rate, versus somebody going through something for 10 days. You help them get a result in 1 hour. Don't that sound better, right? So if you want to learn how to map out, do a mini map of your digital product launch with what I just did with that ebook, but you want to personalize it to your product, what I would encourage you to do, first go down to the description box and make sure you invest in these 60 digital product ideas for therapists, social workers, and healers. It's going to just open up your eyes to things beyond ebooks. I'll leave it at that. Once you check out, it will give you the option, if it's still available based on when you are listening or watching this podcast, it will give you the ability to schedule a mini map session. Now, typically with those sessions, you may be able to see availability up to 60 days. The spots do fill fairly quickly. So if you see something if you buy it today and then you don't see availability for a month from now, all that does is gives you time to clarify your digital product idea anyway, because once you hop on a call with me, we mapping it out. We're not going to spend the whole time talking about what you think you might want to do, because I want you to get results. And so I will give you resources. I will give you next steps, but more importantly, I'm going to help you map it out. Now, some of you already have the guide. If that's the case, simply DM me and let's figure out a code word. Let's put the word map. When you DM me the word map, I want you to tell me, hey, I already got the guide, and we'll look it up via receipt. Okay. And if you already have the guide, then I will send you something else so that you can hop on the calendar and we can map it out. Because I know a lot of y'all have gotten that map already. And this isn't something that I'm blasting like through my email list. Y'all getting it right here first on YouTube and on the podcast. And so let me know if you have any questions. Let me know what was your biggest takeaway. I would love to help you launch your first or another or relaunch a digital product. And yeah, have a great day. Bye.